it's probably leaning towards guilt. Now, on the racketeering, I agree with you that the predicate acts may be found, but that's not all they need. There's an ultimate question. The first question on the jury verdict form is, do you find him guilty or not guilty of racketeering? Before you even get to the predicate acts, which you only get to if you find guilt, they could just be hung up on that question and say, this guy's not Tony Soprano. I am not convinced that I even want to find guilt.
Katt Williams just dropped a bomb that could destroy 3 of the biggest names in music: Diddy, Jay-Z, and Beyonce. And the evidence? It's hiding in plain sight. We're not talking about a casual roast or another stand-up dig. This time, Williams didn't just go after Diddy's ego, he cut deeper, accusing Jay-Z of being more than just a business partner, more than an occasional friend. According to Williams, Jay-Z is allegedly Diddy's secret lover, and their high-profile marriages, especially Jay-Z and Beyonce's, are just a carefully choreographed performance to protect reputations and careers. It's a claim so wild it should be the plot of an HBO miniseries, but in this story, the real-life stakes are higher, and the timeline is suddenly racing forward.
And I'm not saying allegedly.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying, Sean Carter, you're a piece of shit. Taking Pimp C wasn't bad enough. You just want to go down there and you want to just remove all of the balls from every real gangster in Houston.
Why does this matter now? Because in the middle of all the jokes and accusations, Diddy is sitting in a New York City jail, not a mansion, and Jay-Z's name keeps popping up in the files that matter. The details are not just background gossip. They're shaping the legacy of hip-hop's most powerful figures. As of September 16, 2024, Diddy isn't just another tabloid punchline. He's inmate number whatever at the notorious Metropolitan Detention Center, awaiting the outcome of charges that have already taken him from penthouse to concrete slab. He's serving a 50-month sentence after being found guilty of transporting women, including Cassie Ventura, across state lines for what prosecutors described as adult-related activities. It's a federal conviction under the Mann Act, and while Diddy dodged the heavier racketeering and trafficking counts, this isn't a technicality. The jury, the public, and even some of his closest supporters have now seen the evidence that Diddy didn't just enjoy the power of celebrity, he weaponized it. That fact alone rewrites the stakes for everyone in his orbit. Because while the headlines focus on Diddy's hell-on-earth prison life, mega-infested food, lockdowns, and fellow inmates who make even his star power irrelevant, the real tension is outside those walls, in the very circles where Jay-Z and Beyonce built their empire. Williams didn't need to spell it out. He just lifted the curtain on what the industry's been whispering for years, that the personal and the professional are tangled and nobody knows which side of the bed the truth is sleeping on. The story isn't just about Diddy falling from grace, it's about who's been shielding him and who's next if the dominoes keep dropping.
Threatening. I mean, let's just be real for a second. There are a lot of lawyers who call this legal extortion, and that this is the way the legal system works, which is you threaten somebody with reputational harm, and in this case, it's interesting that Jay-Z, who's very wealthy, said it would be financial ruin.
Now, this isn't the first time Jay-Z's name has been pulled into the undertow of Diddy's legal chaos. The receipts go back to 2015, when a Miami lawsuit first put Jay-Z and Beyonce's names in the same sentence as Diddy's infamous freak-off parties. In that complaint, a man named Joseph Manzaro claimed he was intoxicated and forced to parade around in a novelty mask at a party where he insisted both Jay-Z and Beyonce were present. According to the original allegations, the party was more than just a wild night. It was a humiliation ritual staged for the entertainment of the biggest names in music. The fact that those names appeared in a legal filing is a matter of public record. But what happened next is where things get interesting. Jay-Z and Beyonce's legal team went into overdrive. Within days, documents appeared proving Jay-Z was nowhere near Miami during the event. The defense pointed to public appearances at NYU and a conveniently timed Hawaiian vacation, complete with a photo trail in the Daily Mail. Just like that, the amended complaint scrubbed both Jay-Z and Beyonce from the record. The couple was never named as defendants, but their association with the case vanished almost as quickly as it surfaced. It was a legal disappearing act that left more questions than answers. If Jay-Z was never at the party, why did the accuser put him there? Was it a case of mistaken identity, or did someone with enough power make sure those names would never show up in a courtroom? Industry insiders say it's not the first time Jay-Z has been a ghost at the scene of Diddy's darkest moments. Whenever the spotlight grows too hot, his name quietly slides off the guest list, but the rumors keep burning. The Manzaro complaint didn't just disappear, it was erased with surgical precision. Jay-Z's attorney, Alex Spiro, called it nonsense, dismissing the entire episode as an erosion of trust in the justice system. But people familiar with the industry's inner workings point out that Jay-Z's business ties to Diddy run deep. and that covering for each other is part of the unwritten contract among music royalty. There's a pattern here, and Williams is only the latest to say it out loud. If the power to erase yourself from a lawsuit is real, what else can be covered up?
Find her. Right, her attorney is trying to find her, and her attorney has said that she may not be willing to come and testify anyway, so
Be interesting. Okay, we're moving on.
Meanwhile, Diddy's world is collapsing in real time. Prison life is a long way from the yacht parties and red carpet appearances. According to multiple reports, the Metropolitan Detention Center isn't just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. Inmates describe it as a battleground of neglect and violence. Combs' attorneys argue he's barely sleeping on a slab with a paper-thin mattress, waking up to stale bread and, if he's lucky, powdered potatoes that haven't attracted insects. There's no privilege here, only proximity to infamous names. R. Kelly, Ghislaine Maxwell, Sam Bankman-Fried, now Diddy. It's a hall of fame nobody wants to enter. And as Diddy's trial grinds on, the public is getting a closer look at what years of private encounters and unchecked power actually cost. The prosecution's case against Diddy painted a picture of manipulation, blackmail, and control. They called witnesses who described years of intimidation, freak-off parties, orchestrated for Diddy's pleasure, and women trafficked under the guise of lavish living. Cassie Ventura's testimony was a turning point. She detailed how Diddy not only filmed their intimate moments for his own archive, but allegedly used those tapes as leverage, threatening to destroy reputations and careers if anyone talked. Defense attorneys tried to dismiss the claims as a lifestyle, not a crime, arguing Diddy was just living large, not breaking laws. But the jury disagreed, finding that the line between consent and coercion had been crossed too many times.
He was responsible for Diddy's day-to-day life, so he is able to provide a lot of information about what that life was like. He goes into detail on extensive use.
Behind that verdict is a shadow that falls on more than just Diddy. When prosecutors detailed how Diddy moved women across state lines for private gatherings, they talked about a network. Friends, associates, enablers who kept the machinery running. Nobody operates at that level alone. Jay-Z's closeness to Diddy has always been a double-edged sword. For years, both men cultivated an image of invincibility. Moguls above the law, married to queens, untouchable by scandal. But as Williams points out, what if that image is just a marketing campaign? Insiders now claim that Beyonce, whose every move is scrutinized and monetized, has always known about the real arrangement, that her marriage to Jay-Z is as much a business deal as a love story, constructed to shield both from the consequences of what happens when the parties end. The industry has been here before. Rumors about secret societies, the Illuminati, and coded messages have haunted Jay-Z and Beyonce for years. Those diamond hand signs, the pyramids, the 666 mirrored backdrops. Conspiracy theorists have dissected every music video, every on-stage gesture. Normally, it's the kind of sideshow gossip that keeps forums busy on a slow news day. But now, in the wake of Diddy's legal meltdown, those rumors feel less like wild guesses and more like camouflage for something much uglier. When Diddy's Ella Mansion was raided, his son King Combs stepped outside in sweatpants emblazoned with the Illuminati logo. Online detectives immediately pounced. Was it a cry for help, a warning, or just the worst fashion choice since Ed Hardy? Nobody in the Combs family has explained it. But the symbolism is clear enough if you believe the right doors have always been closed to outsiders.
When people are against the Illuminati, then they get punched in the face all the time. The press hates them, and nobody likes them.
At the center of this tangled web, the question is no longer just about Diddy's guilt, but about how many layers of protection exist around men like him. When lawsuits are filed and then quietly amended, when witnesses suddenly change their stories or withdraw complaints with prejudice, when power can make evidence and people disappear, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. According to sources familiar with previous complaints, Jay-Z has allegedly gone to great lengths to sanitize his digital footprint whenever his name brushes up against Diddy's chaos. After the 2015 Miami party story broke, Jay-Z deleted entire Twitter threads, while Beyonce's social media filled up with thousands of comments demanding answers about her husband's ties to Diddy. Yet every time, the narrative is managed. Legal teams produce ironclad alibis, publicists issue denials, and the couple's image survives another round. But the cracks are widening. When King Combs, at just 26, is photographed in Illuminati gear outside a freshly raided family compound, it's more than just an online meme. It's a reminder that this story goes deeper than late-night parties and star-studded vacations. It's a game of control, access, and erasure, and every move is watched, calculated, and if necessary, deleted. Jay-Z's team scrubbed his name from the lawsuit, but what if the real cover-up isn't about where he was that night, but what he's been hiding for years?
In a blistering statement, Jay-Z accuses Jane Doe's attorney of trying to blackmail him. He said further, quote, "These allegations are so heinous in nature that I implore you to file a criminal complaint, not a civil one. Whomever would commit such a crime against a minor should be locked away. Would you not agree?"
Diddy's conviction proves he ran a system of control, substances, blackmail, and orchestrated intimate acts. But Jay's name keeps surfacing in the shadows, haunting every new headline, even when his lawyers are shouting not guilty before he's even charged. That's not a coincidence, not when the pattern of legal contradictions keeps repeating. The system Diddy built was airtight, no question. Prosecutors described how everything was coordinated, with enablers, handlers, and a cast of willing insiders who either looked the other way or made sure any whisper of the truth vanished before it hit the news cycle. The testimonies were brutal, the evidence was undeniable, and the stories from women like Cassie Ventura hit so hard they forced Diddy's entire brand to collapse almost overnight. Yet every time Diddy's secret spilled, Jay-Z's name managed to appear in the background and then fade into the mist before the credits rolled. Nowhere was this clearer than in the infamous 2000 VMA after-party lawsuit, where the accusations went beyond the usual after-show chaos and into territory so dark the public almost couldn't process it. A woman, identified as Jane Doe, claims she was lured away from Radio City Music Hall, brought to a mansion and assaulted by powerful men, including Jay-Z and Diddy. But when it came time to present evidence, Jay-Z's team shredded the timeline. His lawyers pointed out inconsistencies in the accuser's account, offered travel records, and cast doubt on whether the party even happened the way it was described. Just like the 2015 Miami case, the witness's memory suddenly blurred. Court filings were amended. The case was dropped, dismissed with prejudice, and the narrative was reset before it ever reached a jury. Officially, Jay-Z was never even in the room. But to those tracking the story, that's exactly the point. When accusations catch fire, the first thing that burns is always the evidence tying Jay-Z to Diddy's wildest moments.
This morning, rap mogul Jay-Z is denying allegations he assaulted a 13-year-old girl alongside rapper Sean Diddy Combs. That civil lawsuit filed against Combs in October was amended Sunday to include Jay-Z. The accuser, identified only as Jane Doe, says she was assaulted by both men.
Insiders familiar with the legal maneuvers claim it's more than just good lawyering. They point to the timeline. Every time Diddy's inner circle is threatened, witnesses vanish, stories change, and lawsuits dissolve into the ether. A former associate who managed several of Diddy's events in the early 2000s says the word was always the same: keep it off the books. If anything leaks, there's a plan. And every plan seems to start with scrubbing names, especially Jay-Z's. We've seen it over and over, as if the entire industry safety net is woven from NDAs, payoff money, and the sheer gravitational pull of a billion-dollar reputation. But legal drama is only half the story. The digital purge tells us even more. In the months after Diddy's first arrest, just as social media detectives began threading connections between old photographs and party guest lists, Jay-Z's entire Twitter presence vanished. More than a decade of tweets, interviews, promotional plugs, casual banter, inside jokes, all gone in a single sweep. There was no announcement, no cryptic message, just a sudden silence. Was it just a coincidence or a form of high-speed damage control? The public was left guessing, but tech experts we spoke to say such a systematic wipe is no casual move. It's erasure with purpose. A digital smoke bomb dropped right as the spotlights were shifting. And if Jay-Z's team was trying to erase a trail, they couldn't have chosen a better moment. Because within days, screenshots of old connections to Diddy began disappearing from fan forums too.
But I respect a response, you know, and again, hindsight, a lot of people don't, you know, people say, well, if I was Jay-Z, I would have done this, but you're not. And yeah. I gotta say this, you're not, so you don't know the situation.
Meanwhile, Beyonce's reaction, or the lack of one, spoke volumes to fans watching the story spiral. As the comments on her Instagram flooded with questions, did you know? Are you going to speak out? Where is Jay-Z? She posted only brand updates, tour news, and sponsored content. No statements, no interviews, no direct engagement. Insiders from Beyonce's own team speaking off the record suggest that even her inner circle is frustrated by the silence. But the orders are clear: no comment, no matter how hot the story gets. For a star who's built an empire on carefully curated transparency, the lack of response is almost louder than any denial could be. The more we look, the clearer it gets. Diddy's downfall and Jay-Z's silence are not just parallel stories. Their lives and careers are woven together in ways that money, fame, and power can't untangle. The financial ties are everywhere: joint ventures, overlapping endorsements, co-headlining tours, and investments that stretch from record labels to streaming platforms. We've traced money that started in Diddy's SEA and Gene accounts and ended in Jay-Z's business holdings. And the timing of these deals almost always matches the flashpoints in Diddy's legal troubles. Raids in LA, lawsuits in New York, suddenly matched by Jay-Z's public absences, unexplained flights, or those now notorious family vacations. Is it just a shared business playbook, or is it the choreography of two men covering for each other because the fallout from one could bring down both?
Weirdo. I don't get no what you got in your head, that neural link. You'll never outthink me. Ever.
Industry veterans are starting to talk, at least privately. One former label executive told us that Jay-Z's loyalty to Diddy goes beyond friendship, beyond business. It's protection. It's knowing too much about each other to let anything slip. Others point to moments when Jay-Z could have distanced himself, a press statement here, a charity event there, but instead chose to disappear entirely, taking Beyonce with him into a cone of silence. Even now, as federal prosecutors push for longer sentences and new charges, nobody close to Jay-Z is willing to put anything on the record. And then there are the symbols, the ones conspiracy theorists obsess over, but which, in this climate, suddenly look less like marketing stunts and more like warnings to stay away. King Combs, Diddy's own son, wandering outside their mansion in sweatpants plastered with the Illuminati symbol, just hours after federal agents raided the property. Beyonce and Jay-Z trading hand signals at award shows, dropping pyramid imagery into their stage productions, and flooding their music videos with coded references. It's easy to laugh it off as internet paranoia, but these signals have become a language, a way for the elite to acknowledge each other, and maybe a threat to outsiders to keep their distance. One thing's for sure, nobody's laughing when the feds start knocking.
So why does it all come to a head now? Why now? Why?
Because he's the acceptable monster at this time, like R. Kelly was the last time I sat on this couch.
So who's next?
Y'all don't see the lineup?
Yeah, we see the lineup.
We have to ask, why hasn't Diddy named names? Facing decades behind bars, a crumbling empire, and the kind of public disgrace that would make most men turn on anyone to save themselves, Diddy stays silent. No mention of Jay-Z, no confirmation of the rumors, no pointed fingers. Prosecutors have tried to pry secrets out, but so far, the only people named in open court are already facing their own scandals. Is Diddy protecting someone, or is the network protecting him? Industry sources say Diddy's refusal to talk is the most damning clue of all, that what he knows could burn down not just his house, but the entire neighborhood. As the dominoes keep lining up, the next move is obvious. Is Jay-Z's empire built on the same secrets that destroyed Diddy? Or is he the next domino, teetering on the edge as the music industry finally runs out of places to hide its skeletons? We've watched as every attempt to distance himself, deleting social media, ducking public appearances, leaning on airtight alibis, only draws more attention to what's not being said. Every silent partner, every missing witness, every vacation, at the exact moment the headlines explode, at a certain point it stops being coincidence and starts to look like orchestration.
She
Walked away, got no money.
got nothing.
Over.
And Jay-Z celebrated that, the fact that
We should say, and it was filed by the lawyer who has filed a slew of lawsuits against Diddy.
The most loyal fans are split, some desperate to believe in their idols, others growing louder, angrier, unwilling to let this be swept under the rug. It's not just the gossip sites and YouTube detectives anymore. Mainstream outlets, legal experts, and industry watchdogs are picking at the contradictions. Every fresh headline is a reminder that no one is too big to fall, not when the machine that kept everyone rich is finally breaking down. Even as Diddy's team promises appeals and Jay-Z's attorneys threaten lawsuits against defamatory coverage, the conversation has already shifted. People want to know who's really calling the shots and what would happen if the truth ever made it all the way to court. We keep circling back to those symbols, those silences, those missing files, because in an era where every move is documented, every story archived, it's the absences, the deleted tweets, the erased lawsuit, the vanishing acts that speak the loudest. Diddy's collapse has pulled back the curtain, but behind him, Jay-Z is standing in the shadows, unchallenged, untouched, still refusing to speak. His empire stands for now, but the foundation is shaking and everyone can feel it. The world's biggest hip-hop dynasty, built on talent, business savvy, and maybe something darker, is suddenly exposed in a way nobody predicted. Jay-Z's silence isn't protection, it's a confession waiting to be exposed. So what do you think? Are these just rumors and coincidences, or is hip-hop's most untouchable couple finally running out of places to hide? Is the real scandal about to break, or will power and money keep the truth buried forever? Drop your hottest theory in the comments, hit subscribe so you don't miss what happens next. And remember, the real story is always the one they don't want you to hear. Until then, stay curious and stay watching.